Hello, and welcome to People by People, the podcast that is centered around creative thoughts and actions and what you can do to optimize that. My name is Andrew Bastian, a musician, recording and mixing engineer, and producer. In the first mini-series, I'll be discussing what science, philosophy, and greater culture has discovered, and hopefully give you the tools to do your best work and find meaning in it. Episode 1. Where do ideas come from? Our ability for creativity is a wonderful wonder of the natural world. We encounter it in a variety of ways every day. We enjoy and benefit from its realization, both as its agents and as its beneficiaries. The pinnacle of specially developed human talents is sometimes hailed as creativity. We place a high value on it in our everyday lives, in all spheres of life, and it is crucial to human growth and advancements at all levels, from the personal to the social. However, because of its intrinsically complex and abstract character, creative thinking has an air of mystery and ineffability about it. So what is creativity exactly? Well, according to the common definition employed by researchers, creative ideas are those that are unique and productive and require sincere expression. Creative ideas are generally associated with the universe of art. Artists are the first ones who describe what is incomprehensible. They achieve this by transforming the perceived, but as of yet unimagined, into the least imaginable and present this in art. It serves as the foundation for philosophical and intellectual ideas. True artists are creative problem solvers. The goal is to define the issues and provide solutions. The result is the art. Rarely a product of complete isolation, the environments in which we choose to spend our time also impacts how ideas are formed. So how do our environments shape our ideas? Most ideas require time to develop into something valuable. Breakthrough ideas seldom ever arrive in a single flash of insight. It takes time for good ideas to develop from a few lesser ones. These concepts may be derived from more modest concepts that other individuals may have. This implies that we must place ourselves in settings or circumstances that encourage the discussion of ideas. A small, single aspect may cast a bright light across a whole region. In order to tackle scientific challenges, it is said that a variety of approaches are necessary. Stephen Johnson talks about how the introduction of the coffee house provided a place where minds could meet. The increase in connectivity allows us to exchange ideas and expertise, to define, refine, and execute ideas into action. We trade the best of us for the best of others, whatever that may be. These simple, smaller ideas generally arrive from taking established methods and thinking about them laterally to find new ways of doing things. So what exactly is lateral thinking? Divergent thinking, also known as lateral thinking, is the act of coming up with several original ideas or solutions to a problem you are attempting to address. Divergent thinking necessitates coming up with several solutions or ways forward through impromptu, free-flowing thought. This is crucial to the creative thinking process because it produces a broad variety of fresh ideas that serve as the foundation for original thought. Due to its fluidity, adaptability, inventiveness, and elaboration, it actively participates in this process. So here's an exercise for you to do. Think of an everyday object. Let's use a fork for this example. How many different uses or solutions could that fork be utilized to generate a productive outcome? Well, it's used to eat, to pick up things. It has prongs so it can be used to pry something out. It can be used to clean something that requires the use of something rigid and pointed. It can be turned into jewelry. It can be used as a weapon. It can be bent into shape for decorative or utility purposes. It can be used to turn soil or to hold something in place, to whip food sources to change their structure. Maybe it's used to stir instead of a spoon. Maybe it was found in the ocean. Maybe the fork belongs to a devil-like entity. Or it could be used in a cinematic sequence to fade into a forked road or 3 or 4 people standing adjacent to each other. Maybe there's a story where a character finds a fork in their bed and surreal encounters happen afterwards, and each prong signifies a malevolent situation or a life. We've explored several applications, situations, qualities, and behaviors that the brain receives from the stimulus based on the original input, which in our instance is the word fork. Idea creation is based on a process like this. It is true that more than one concept can be right, but the more ideas you have, the more effective divergent thinking will be. This does not imply, however, that every response is insightful or fascinating. Not every response exposes a basic truth or exhibits genuine creativity. It is crucial to take into account the observer's role of building connections between your thoughts, because there are no restrictions on the kind of ideas that you might generate. If the only person who comprehends the rule underlying the relationship between the ideas is the one who came up with them, then only they are interesting to you. There is a process of idea suppression that helps us focus legitimate responses on the most intriguing and practical ones in order to perform divergent thinking efficiently. The likelihood of finding the most original and helpful solution improves as a result of this procedure. Divergent thinking heavily draws on the brain's mental flexibility-related neural networks. There is a separate function of the prefrontal cortex that relies not on executive function or the capacity to restrict alternatives, but rather on the ability to create many possibilities while actively suppressing context. This enables us to do other things and forget that forks are only for eating. Divergent thinking entails looking at concepts you previously have in your memory about what is connected to and disconnected from the stimuli. To be genuinely creative, we must have the necessary building blocks inside of us. This requires the discovery of organized information. Understanding the basics of a subject gives us the knowledge we need to depart from the way it has traditionally been used or understood. Extreme virtuosity clearly requires years of study, comprehension, growth, practice, and experimentation before departing from conventional wisdom and models. So let's have a look at what the scientists think of this. Scientists are currently debating how to measure the idea in the most effective way. Researchers frequently gauge divergent thinking or the capacity to come up with numerous potential ideas to a problem or topic as a measure of creativity. A possible strategy might be to stop defining creativity in terms of an individual's creative output and start paying attention to what's happening in the brain. By turning our gaze inward, we can observe the procedure in action and begin to recognize the traits of creative thought. The emphasis is being shifted from the creative product to the creative process, thanks to neuroimaging. The connection of several brain areas appears to be part of that process. Adam Green talks about the default mode network, which is most active when the mind wanders or when daydreaming, and the cognitive control network, which is involved in executive functions like planning and problem solving, frequently coordinating in creative endeavors. According to Green, the cooperation of various networks may be what makes creativity special. These two systems are often competitive, they don't often collaborate, yet creativity seems to be one area where they do. Additionally, Green has discovered proof that the frontopolar cortex, a region of the frontal lobes of the brain, is connected to creative thinking, and it appears that activating the region enhances creative ability. In order to get participants to think of new comparisons, he and his colleagues stimulated the frontopolar cortex using transcranial direct current stimulation. participants produced analogies that were more creative, or to put it another way, more semantically dissimilar after the region was stimulated. If thinking of new comparisons is a measure of the creative process, well, how do we think? Most people express their thoughts verbally. The majority of our thoughts are often not our own. True thought involves having an idea in your head and the capacity to evaluate it. For this, separation from the mind is essential. We simulate fictitious scenarios in our head and track the results so that our thoughts can fail instead of us. Our collective conceptions give rise to our unconscious mind. We frequently take on the personas of concepts that we did not originate. The cumulative influx of knowledge shapes our viewpoint. We filter out far more information than we take in as a result of the large amounts of information we get every day. Expertise, goals, temperament, and our circumstances all play a role in this. So how does temperament affect creativity? Your innate temperament, which serves as a set of lenses through which you perceive the world, affects how you process information and shapes your thoughts, ideas, and decisions. The more precisely you can gauge someone's political views, the more often you can discover that personality is what's actually forecasting them. This is also true of you. Know yourself, really know yourself, and you'll know what to do in order to generate better ideas. Ideas that are useful, interesting, and potentially successful. In the process of landing on creative and successful ideas, it is important to recognize what mistakes are made and how they are made, and adjust to them. So why are mistakes important? The truth is simply that we aren't very adept at thinking. When we first form ideas, we have to stumble along and veer off into unproductive terrain where our prejudices can become obvious. In order to think clearly, one strategy is to engage in internal debate that allows us to abstract a result. After that, we discuss the responses we're receiving, polish our ideas, increase our focus, and identify our mistakes. It's important to allow yourself the opportunity to make mistakes when thinking. Are we successful the first time? Probably not. The chances are you won't advance in your goals and will continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. In the process of this debate, it is vital to recognize those mistakes and failures. We do this so that we can safely simulate our failures rather than live them. Not all can be predicted, but it provides a strong enough safety net from total failure that's effective in its utility. To know where ideas come from, you have to address quite a complex series of events. It is a combination of memory, personality trait, ability for divergent thinking, the thoughts of other people and established ideas, expertise, motivation, and environment. When you're aware of this, it allows you to optimize your choices in order to sharpen your tools for success. Because you can't accomplish everything, you must discover methods to make the world simpler, where your abilities can sustain you as in your specialization. This is where ideas and research should be focused. This is where you successfully arrive at better ideas. Surround yourself with people that will facilitate that and support you, and you do the same for them. You exchange your best qualities with those of others. So go out there, get involved in various groups and gather new perspectives. Always remain suspicious and on the lookout for novel and intriguing developments that you hadn't anticipated, and have the guts to pursue them. You're listening to People by People. Catch you next time.